And I'll just ask you a few. So today I'm with Gunnar Garfos, and he's the first person to have visited every country in the world twice, and he holds some crazy records, which I'll talk about a bit later. But I want to do this because I want to know your perspective on travel, your perspective on things, on people, and things like that. So before I start, I want to know that what was the first moment when you realized that, yes, I'm going to do this, this is going to shape my life, because now you've built your life around travel as well, right? You're writing books about travel, you're doing presentations about it. So when did you decide travel, this is it?
I don't think I ever decided it. I loved travel from an early age due to curiosity, I think. And also I liked meeting people. I liked seeing new places. I liked realizing or finding out that Norway it's not like everywhere else, or should I say the other way around, you know. Everywhere
Yes.
else is totally different to Norway, and just realizing that was very valuable. And it's made me learn a lot about different cultures, different countries. I've learned a lot about myself and so on. So it's really been an addition to my formal education. This travel business. So when that's said, I did it as a hobby or as a part time kind of a gig for
Yes.
many years while I was working at Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation, and only the last few years I've been sort of making a living from travel, writing books full time and doing presentations and all that. So so it's only been for a few years. I've sort of gone all in, if you like, and that was because I loved it so much, and I wanted to see if it was actually possible to make a living from travel.
Yes, so it's great that you could have, and it's inspiring for people like me as well, who love to travel and who there is a future in it, and people can make a living, people can make it their life. So it's really cool. And travel, I feel, doesn't necessarily change who you are, but it kind of shows about it. You kind of get to know yourself on a very deeper level. When you go to places, you discover things about yourself, you discover things about the place. So, were there some things which you discovered about yourself when you traveled, and were there any moments where you realized that this is who I am, this is what I want to do?
Well, I think privilege has a lot to do with it. I've been coming from Norway. It's quite a wealthy country. I'm very lucky to be from Norway in so many ways. We have good infrastructure. We have democracy. We have long holidays. We have good pay. We have passports that are quite strong. So just being able to travel sort of makes me stand out from actually most people
Many
in
places,
the
yeah.
world, or at least travel internationally. So yeah, I've certainly realized the privilege I have, and it's also very interesting to see Norway from the outside, if you like. I mean, me as you and everybody else, we believe that we are the from the center of the universe for natural reasons. This is we've grown up in our communities or towns or villages, and we know how we do things at home. But then you travel and you realize that okay, there are so many other places, and then, of course they also believe they are the center of the universe, and they are in
In
many
their own
many
way.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they might do things totally different than us. That doesn't mean that they are doing it wrong or we are doing it wrong. It's just different, and maybe we can learn from each other. So talking to people is very important. I think when you travel, instead of just hanging with other people from back home and only observing. I think observing and taking photos for your social media and getting loads of likes. Of course, there is some I understand the interest and the attraction in that, but you don't really learn anything until you participate and make friends and actually dare. dig into the new cultures and the places you visit.
What you said is very true because I know many people who are just traveling for the Instagram photo, who are traveling to who they like. They see something online and they're like, let's go here. They go there, take a flight, take the pictures, take the moment, and then they just come back. They don't they dig deep into the culture. They don't dig deep into the food, the cuisine. They don't talk to the people over there. So I want to even ask you about that. What would advice would you give to people who are seeking photos and likes rather than experiences?
No, there's nothing wrong with trying to get good photos, but one doesn't exclude the other. And you probably get better photos if you talk to people, talk to the locals. The locals are always the experts, regardless of where you travel. Maybe you have a guidebook or you've looked up places on TripAdvisor or Google Maps or wherever, but most of those reviews are written by other travelers anyway. It's actually approaching locals and getting in, getting to know them. That means that they will show you many more interesting places, better places to take photographs from, more interesting restaurants or cafes or beaches or mountains or markets or whatever. They will also introduce you to their friends, which means that you will meet more interesting people than you'd otherwise do, or you'll actually meet people at all, or at least local people. So I think I understand why people, or why a lot of people only take photos and don't really talk to many locals. I mean, of course, it's a bit scary. Maybe you might be shy. It might be a different religion involved. There are different customs, different backgrounds, and it's a bit scary maybe. And the language barrier.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think this is all about creating excuses. So just come on, you go over and smile. It's totally free to smile to people, and most times they will smile back. And even if you don't speak the same language, you can use the body language, or you can draw in a notebook or something.
Yes, yes, yes.
You will manage to have an interaction, and suddenly someone will come along that speaks English for most of us, and they might be able to work as an interpreter. So I think that there are lots of excuses out there, and I just like to say to everybody that your travels will be so much more fruitful and rewarding if you dare talk to those that actually live in a place, and dare get to know them, and learn about their backgrounds and their lives, and maybe exchange experiences and stories.
Exactly. It happened with me recently. My recent trip was in Japan, and I was with a local, and she took me to a hidden place inside one of the streets in Tokyo to eat some authentic soba noodles in Tokyo. And that's some place I could have never stumbled upon. I could not have even ordered at that place because of the language barrier. I could have not understood the menu, nothing. But because of her, I had this crazy experience, and it was the most delicious thing I've had in like the entire trip. So you're
Yeah,
right. These
fantastic.
things,
Yeah.
yeah, so these things actually make a huge difference. And also, I wanted to ask that uh, y- I wanted to ask one of your examples. When did you interact with locals when they took you off the beaten path and not on the mainstream places?
You meet people everywhere. I mean, the one of the biggest barriers is probably language, because people in bigger cities tend to speak more English.
Yeah,
I always carry a notepad in my pocket, and a couple of pens. This was in Iran, in Mashhad, several years ago. And we didn't find anyone who spoke English. And we were hungry. We were at a restaurant. It was my brother and me and a couple of friends, and no one spoke English. And in the end, I took up the notepad, and I drew a cow and a sheep, and a couple of breads, and that's what they served us. So, I mean, even just drawing, or
yeah,
body language or finger language, or just smiling to each other, or even
yeah.
just sing in your own language, and they will speak in their language, and there will be a sense of you'll manage to understand something. So I think even if you don't have the same language, you just jump into it, and this is more often the case, as I said, in rural areas. But even in very rural areas, you can run into maybe a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old
Who's
who's
learning
learning English
English?
in school,
Yes.
and suddenly they are
Yes.
the
Yes.
interpreter. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and of course, if you have the money or the means, you can bring your own interpreter. Although most of us don't really
Yeah.
uh, have that, but then that's another possibilities. And with technology, now you have all these apps and everything that can translate in more or less in real time, and that opens up possibilities as well.
Yes, definitely. And also, you did each country twice, which is even more crazy than doing it. Like most people won't be able to finish the all the countries once. So, what did the second visit teach you, which maybe the first couldn't?
Well, it's with countries like with friends, or I don't know, restaurants, or favorite spots that you go for walks. If you like something, you wanted it to revisit. You want to do it more than once, and you want to see different parts of it. And a lot of countries, well, such as India, are huge. And I
Huge
mean, we're
places,
the most
yeah.
populous country in the world. There is so much to see and so many people that you can potentially meet. And really, it's not fair to visit for instance, India just once. There's just way too much to do and see. Also, a country will inevitably change from one year to another. So if you travel there, twice with 10 or 15 years in between, there will be huge changes that are really interesting
To
to
watch.
see or to watch. Also, if you actually do meet people there and make friends, again, it's nice to meet them again, see how they are, of course, and maybe noticing the atmosphere, changes in atmosphere. Some countries have had very rough times. Luckily, I find that most countries are turning towards the better. Over the last few years, there are, of course, unfortunately, some examples of the country, but you notice that the world is more or less going forward. And then, of course, we can say now there are way too many wars and conflicts around the world. So it might not have gone the right way the last 2 or 4 years,
Few years,
but,
yeah.
in general, it has been looking better in most countries. But I mean, this regardless, it's very interesting to see and notice the changes and the differences in people and atmospheres and so on. And of course, visiting new places in a country is, I really try to see different places. Although there are many reasons to go back to favorite cities or towns. So I've been to Mumbai several times, for instance, a very fascinating city. That's definitely worth coming back to. Or, then again, you have so much more to see. So that's always a challenge. To say, am I going to go back to the same place I've been before, or should I go somewhere totally different?
So somewhere
And
totally
of
different.
course, you want to do both if you have the time and the money, but quite often there is a lack of at least time.
Yes, yes, yes. And also, like you said, you always want to visit new places, but I find that these days people are just sticking to some specific set of countries and they're not exploring outside, which I feel is increasing. People are going off the beaten path now. But why is it important to go off the beaten path to unique countries and places which are lesser visited rather than I would, and you're the best person to ask this question to because you've written a book on the 20 least visited countries. You have experienced all of this firsthand. And so I want to know, why is it important to visit these countries as well?
Well, I think we already see it around the world. We see mass tourism being a
Yeah,
problem. Everybody is sort of being sheep and doing exactly the same as everybody else. They follow certain influences, so and they want to do exactly the same. So what you're seeing is essentially copycat tourism. You want to do exactly the same as some influencer or friend or some famous person have done, or you want to sort of recreate some experience that somebody else has. Obviously, you can't really do that because you see loads of amazing sites around the world, and you typically see these the best photos you see, let's say on Instagram, are with a person possibly with in front of the site, totally alone. But when you go to these sites, you're never going to be alone.
No, nearly.
So you're going to be in the middle of a crowd. So you're going to be quite disappointed because it doesn't look like you saw it in
Yeah,
this photo. You can't recreate it yourself. Of course, now you have AI, so you can take away easily all the other people in the photos and so on. But it's kind of cheating yourself. So I think instead of just of what I tend to call copycat tourism, why don't you rather find your own places and try to discover yeah, places or sites, attractions that are really off the beaten path. Instead of going to the most famous beach in Hawaii or Thailand, yeah, find a secluded one. Try to find a different one, and you will be rewarded. You get different experiences, you get different photos if that's important, and maybe much better ones. Also, I think it's important to spread tourism. One is to avoid mass tourism. The other one is to stimulate local economies in countries or villages or towns where there might not be a lot of revenues, there might not be a lot of jobs, and so on and so forth. So if we can, when we travel, if we can support those communities, if we can stay in local hotels instead of staying in chains, if we can eat in local restaurants instead of eating in chain
yeah,
restaurants, so on. It's all about using the money you have, using your dollars
yeah.
sensibly, and actually helping others. I think this is one way we can contribute. Well, of course, this doesn't really work if we only go to tourism hotspots. So it's about spreading the tourism dollars that actually contribute a lot to the economy around the world. It's around 10% of the global economy is based on tourism. So there is a lot of money here, and the possibility to help local families and local economies. It's really huge. And then it's up to us to actually do something about it and not just do exactly the same as everybody else.
Yes, and also feel that they lead to very rewarding experiences, staying at local hotels, staying at eating local food. I was at this old lady's home somewhere in Meknes in Morocco, and I had some local food over there. I was in a local riad, and those types of experiences cannot be given by a Marriott or a Hyatt anywhere in the world. So you're absolutely right. I feel it is absolutely necessary to boost the local economy, boost the local people, shop from local vendors. It's a good practice to have. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Also,
and also one thing is the experiences. Of course, you will not
yes,
get these experiences in the
yes,
Marriott hotel
yes,
or one of the other chains. The other thing
yes,
is that all the money will then typically go out of the country because these are
yes,
typically owned by very
yes,
filthy
yes,
individuals,
yes,
typically
yes, yes.
living in Western countries. So you're actually taking away money from the local economies instead of contributing to them. So that's another aspect of it.
Absolutely. And I will not ask you what your favorite country is because uh, because I have been asked that question whenever I tell people I like to travel, I've been here, I've been there. The first question is, what's your favorite country? And I'm like, I just look up at the ceiling and I'm blank because I still don't have an answer. I never will have. So I want to ask, are there some regions around the world which you have a special connection to, somewhere you did something special, something about some regions of the world in specific where you have a special affinity to?
Well, I can your country. I really enjoyed Kerala and
Wow,
the backwaters there, and sort of exploring the little villages, the waterways, going. Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but yeah, my brother and me, we went stealing coconuts from the local palm tree. We only took one each, and
that's a
but
good
you
thing. That's
know.
a good thing
Yeah, no, yeah, but no, no. We paid the farmer after. So, but for a while we actually stole two coconuts. But and just eating local food, meeting people, diving there. It's a wonderful place, and it's almost no one knows about. I mean, foreigners hardly knows about Kerala
yeah.
as a destination. And I think that's a shame, and because it really is wonderful in Kerala. Um, I don't know other regions. I really like Central Asia and the Stan countries with the amazing nature there. The hospitality is incredible. There is not really a tourist hotspot either, so you're typically received as a sort of a friend or a family member, not as a tourist, which is something we see a lot these days. You sort of come across as a walking bag of cash when you travel, because a lot of people are just after your money. That's not the case in
In the
central.
stands, yeah.
No. I am, well, Africa is an incredible continent, huge, of course. Um, my wife is from Sudan, which unfortunately now is in the middle of a huge
Of
conflict
a
and
huge
war.
conflict, yeah.
But the people there are incredibly friendly. So I mean, as soon as this as soon as it's back to normal, well, which I hope will happen relatively soon, Sudan is a very undervalued place to visit. Also, Madagascar is well, it's sort of nicknamed the eighth continent of the world for many good reasons. The roads are atrocious, but the sights are amazing, and you have so much in this huge island. But yeah, you will need quite a lot of time to travel from A to B due to bad roads. And you have everything from incredible seafood and very remote beaches. You have the stone forest. You have the lemurs. Yeah, there's so much
The baobab
in
trees and everything.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the famous Babao, what do you call it? Alleyway.
Bao, yeah.
Yeah. So those are just I don't know. So some places. I mean, there are obviously countless of others. I should probably mention my own country and people that come to Norway. They come to a lot of them only go to Oslo, which is a typical rookie mistake. You only go to the capital city, and you don't see the rest of the country. And I mean, this is valid for most countries of the
For
world.
all countries, yeah.
Uh, yeah, but Norway. I mean, if you go to the west coast or northern Norway, the natural beauty is insane. It's I don't know. It's jaw dropping. It's amazing. You have the fjords, you have the glaciers, you have the rivers, the islands. The mountains going straight down into the sea. You have the midnight sun. You have the northern lights in the winter. There is really a lot to see there. You have the small, quaint villages, in beautiful colors, surrounded by nothing but nature. So yeah. Also, I mentioned my own country.
Absolutely. I'm still to visit Norway, so I'm pretty excited. I really want to visit all the Scandinavian countries, which is on my hit list as well. So I would love to, and definitely go off the beaten path, go to all the beautiful places. Surprisingly, my desktop, my lock screen is of Norway, and definitely it's like a very beautiful nature type of image. I don't know the exact city. It's a very complicated name,
Yeah.
but yeah, but it looks absolutely stunning.
It
It
is.
looks absolutely stunning.
I'm a bit biased here, but I certainly think it is.
No, no, no. It's absolutely beautiful. Also, I want to ask you that uh, you have you've had some crazy records. You have been to all six continents in one calendar day. You have done, I think, 19 countries in 24 hours, and you've
Stuff
done
like that.
some 23 states in 24. So was it just to beat the record or was it something more?
Yeah, no, this was, I don't really consider this travel.
Yeah,
These are logistical records, although a lot of people point to them as travel related. But I mean, of course, when you're going to do something, as crazy or stupid, like you're referring to, and which I have done, you don't really have time to enjoy. You don't have time to speak to many locals or to see much. It's all about speed and doing something that no one else has done before. And I mean, that's quite, it gives a good feeling to know that you've done something that no one else has done. But I don't call that travel. And I would never, you mentioned 19 countries in 24 hours. I would never say, oh, yeah, that, I visited those 19 countries and I've never been back. I would never count them as having visited them because a few of them were only in for a couple of minutes. But for world record, I guess in love and war and world records, anything goes.
everything
So,
is fine. Yeah.
but it's really nice to do something like this together with good friends, and then just say, wow, we did something that no one else has actually done before.
Yeah.
So that was cool, but it's not travel.
Yeah, because I know some people who count airport transits as travel and, not seeing the place completely as travel. But for me, that's no,
No, and some
that
people
cannot
even
be.
they even stay inside an aircraft in an airport to refuel.
Yeah.
So they're inside the aircraft for 15, 20 minutes, and they count that as visiting a country. And I think, but
Yeah.
then what's the point if you
Yeah.
don't see the country and meet the people and taste the food? Then what's the point, really? But I mean, people make their own rules and count whatever they want to count. So, whatever makes them happy. I just don't think that's travel in any way, shape, or form.
Yes, absolutely. And one question, I'm actually talking to people who have been to every country in the world. I was talking to Thor in the morning, who has gone to every country without flying. His journey is absolutely crazy as well. So I'm asking, if I put you in a new country, if a new place, what would you do? What would be your approach be to how would you see the place? What would you do?
I love walking around, and it's a great way of getting to know a place. And just walking, because it's quite slow, and you get to meet people. You see hidden alleyways, or you see small parks, and so you see a lot more. And you sort of you make a map inside your head of the place. And I think
Places,
that
yeah.
walking around is a great way of doing that. You also get a sense of the town or the village or the city, with regards to atmospheres, with regards to sounds, smells. What kind of part of town is this? Is it a residential area? Is it a market? Is it a downtown area with a lot of restaurants and pubs? And so on. So it's a good way to find out where you want to stay in the city. Do you want to stay in a crowded, a noisy neighborhood or not? Or do you want to be close to the sea or, a viewing point? Or it's just a great way of getting to know a place. So I tend to walk a lot when I get to a place.
Whenever I look at my steps and when I look at my steps when I travel, it's crazy. Like it just goes from a normal 10,000 day to like straight up 30,000, 25,000. Which I also love walking when I travel. I
Yeah.
think and going to places, I sometimes just leave my phone, leave everything and then just walk. I just try to go wherever I am. I just try to look at the local alleys, and it's really enriching, really good way to see the entire place. I think that's something which is wonderful. Also, you have been to so many countries. Of course, it's not easy. there are hardships which you must have faced. How did you overcome that? Like, was there was it hope that kept you going on? What was it?
No, I think I think being open-minded and at the same time being humble about actually being able to travel at all. I think that goes a
Yes,
long way.
yes,
And
yes.
again, smiling to people, saying hi, just being approachable and yeah, being humble and just know that you as a traveler traveling far and far away are very privileged and in a very privileged position. So I think it's a lot to do about attitude when you travel, and that's so I've been quite lucky. I haven't really had any huge mishaps around the world. So I guess some of that was luck, and some of that was probably I don't know, learning throughout the travels how to go about it and how to approach other people, and perhaps I don't know, but yeah, I've been quite lucky.
Yes, it is. I've also not had many bad experiences when I travel. I've been also, at the most part, lucky. One thing which is also there is, like, after you finished every country, and once you finish every country twice, does it go through your mind, what's next? What am I going to do now? Because it's like ending such big chapters of your life, and then what next? How do you deal with that?
Now, there's always something somewhere new to see. For instance, when it comes to travel, I mean, I haven't even been everywhere in Oslo, the town I live in. I haven't even been
Yeah.
everywhere in my home village. There's always going to be a mountain or a creek or a river or a beach or whatever. You know, there's always going to be somewhere new. So, and I enjoy seeing new places. I enjoy going back to places I've already visited. So. You don't really need a huge goal. So you don't, and these, traveling to every country and then doing it twice, both of those were quite big goals and took a lot of effort and a lot of money. It was about priorities. But right now, I don't really have what a comparable goal in mind. And now it's more, yeah, I'm spending my time writing books, doing presentations, and we will see what the next new goal will be. I, I, uh, I don't have an answer for you for that right now, but suddenly it might come up. Something might come up
Yes,
in a couple of minutes
definitely.
or a couple of months.
I've also been reading your book with the 198 countries which you visited, and I must say it's so well written. It's not like a travel guide, which I'm not a big fan of in the first place as well. And it's I'm quite enjoying. I'm about 100 pages in, and it's and the way you've structured the entire book and how you've grouped the countries into such unique categories is pretty fun. And it's really nice as a traveler to read about your experiences, read about your journey, and read about your travel philosophy, which is also quite covered in the book. So I really want to congratulate you on that. I really love the book. It's really
No,
fun.
thank you. Thank you very much. That's nice to hear. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of it and maybe the others as well, elsewhere. The
Yes.
last one is not out in English yet, but hopefully by sometime next year it will be.
Yes, whenever it is, I would love to read all those books because learning about other people's experiences, learning about other people's travels is always so much fun for me. It's always expands my view. It always gives me something to learn, something to look forward to when I travel. So it's really a lot. It's really very inspiring for me as well. And when I plan my future trips as well, it changes the way I plan when I talk to you and I'm talking to other people, how I approach a new place. It really molds me and molds me as a traveler. So thank you for that. And thanks to all the other travelers who've shared their journeys, their stories with me on that. And my next trip is probably going to be to Tunisia
Okay.
and to Malta.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Oh, fabulous! Yeah, go out and yeah, write about it, take photos, inspire other people, and say hi to the locals.
Yes, that is, and I would like to end on one last question, and that if you what advice would you give to young travelers like me who are 19, just getting into the travel, who just have the travel bug in and who just want to explore, what would you say to them?
I would say start small. Don't necessarily travel far. But start small. It can be within your own country and or your own region. It can be a neighboring country. Take advantage, of low fares if you can see if you can find any, and just decide whether this is something for you. A lot of people they say, "Oh, I really want to travel," and then they start traveling, and then they don't really like it, and which is of course fine. But if you then told everybody that you're going to visit every country in the world, then you're going to hate the rest the next few years of your life. So I think start small and try it out before you decide whether this is
Something for
the way
you.
for you. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
again, be humble. Know you are in a privileged position, and do talk to and try to make friends with local people. I think that's what it's all about. It's about building bridges. It's about creating friendships around the world, and we can only do that by communicating with people that live in the places we actually visit.
Yes, thank you so much. Your journey is really inspiring, and it's great fun learning about your journey and reading your books. So thank you once again for taking out the time as well to speak to me. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, no, likewise. Thanks a lot for reaching out. It was great fun, and best of luck with your future travels. And I'm looking
Thank
forward
you so
to
much.
having. Let me know when you come to Norway.
Definitely, I will. I will. I will. It's on my bucket list. It's on my bucket list. In fact, every place is on my bucket list. The world is such a big place, and I want to explore. Like you, I have the thing to. I have an urge in me to go to every place, and I want to see the locals, the food. It's a lot of fun. It gets me excited whenever I talk about travel. I don't know something. It just makes me happy. So
Yeah,
thank
no, that's
you.
that's how it should be.
Yes.
All right. Well, you
Thank
take
you
care.
so
Great
much.
talking. All
Yes.
right.
Thank
I'll
you.
catch you around.
Bye.
All right.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.